whatever. Yeah, well, all of a sudden, something woke up in my body. I mean, it was this immense power, and it started moving all over my body, and it was real. It was like a steamroller on me. It was like, and I was like, shit. I was scared shitless. I was like, it hurt. I was like, what is this thing? I felt like I was trying to push myself out of myself. I mean, it was like this pressure. And then it eased up a little, and then it came back, and I was like, what is this? And I realized afterwards that it was spirit. It was God showing me, hey, I'm here. And if you're, this is what animates me. This is the power that is in each one of us. But we think that we're not aware of it, and it just gives us some complete thinks that it gives us sovereignty, that we're in control. But this is God. And it's like, if that power left, we'd just be a piece of meat. I mean, it's kind of like, oh my God, it was amazing. But it was like just from breathing. So this is what we're living in all the time. And that's, I think, what he was able to feel and to work with. Right. So anyway.
Well, those would make a good T-shirt, Melissa. Without God, you're a piece of meat. That's our new CSL Welcome Home T-shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Gina, thank you, Melissa.
I have two things to say, so I'll make the first one super quick. But I was thinking, when Melissa was talking, it made me really think about, and it relates to my second point, how in medicine we've created this really interesting belief system in our culture. And it reminded me, just when she was saying that, of childbirth, and how when we were having our kids, we really wanted to have natural birth. And everything about my birth, so, I was super late, and my babies were enormous, it was, if we had been with a traditional doctor, there was no way we could have maintained our power of belief. We worked with some midwives, and we had like beautiful, wonderful births that nobody could believe actually happened, but because we were young and dumb enough that we were like, oh, of course we can do this, and, hopefully we still have that dumbness with us now. But my second point was how amazing it is that what was happening in Mesmer's time and before, which with witchcraft, is still happening now, that people don't want to ever believe. In fact, they want to discredit or get really angry at healing happening outside of this, outside of the traditional. It's so bizarre that here we are hundreds of years later, and we still are trying to discredit people and, and drag them through the mud. And it's just remarkable that we've made no advancement in that, even though there are so many different people and modalities that are now healing.
Right. And it was interesting because we just spoke to somebody who's going through a big challenge, and you can tell that he's been so suggested to that any thought of spiritual energy is kind of blocked the gate, because if you ask how you're doing, they'll tell you, as soon as I get this, and then I'm going to get that, and then if this pill works and I stop having the dizziness, then I'll do, and then they can almost, people that are not feeling well, and Melissa knows because she's been through the medical world, you can almost become a doctor, because you're so trained in the world of forms and pills, and I'm not saying that they don't assist, but I will tell you that none of the other stuff is introduced, what we're talking about right now. That we're saying, we'll be on the phone for maybe half hour, and we'll wonder why the word spirituality. And I just know that I would say that if I were sick right now in the world of form, I sure in the hell hope that I would go to that power that you were talking about that surged through me in order to heal myself. And I would hope I could, because what I do.
You already have.
Yeah, and I already have, exactly. But it's so true that this is the time we've got to stand up now and take all of these people that we're learning about for the next 6 weeks, and we have to say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll take it from here. That's a big responsibility, because we're still waiting for the next person to tell us, the next Joe Dispenza, the next somebody, when in reality, when you put your head on that pillow at night, you know that power is working through you. You know it. Okay, go ahead.
So for 65 years, I did not believe that it was necessary for me to jump out of a perfectly good airplane for no reason at all. And you could not change my mind about that, no matter how flowery or how elegant or how, oh my God, it's so amazing. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. You know, people of my neighborhood, we don't do stuff like that. We just don't. I mean, that's not something in conversation. Yeah, how about you? No, we don't talk about no planes. It just don't happen. But because I was involved in this philosophy, and it just triggered something that, because I didn't feel like I would be safe if I did it, but I started to feel that I would be safe, that, they would take all kind of precautions, but there was no fear inside of me. There was an excitement. There was a sense of, this is something I want to do. This is something I know I can do. This is something I would be safe doing. And I had the most amazing time. And that was 4 years ago, last week.
God, that it's been that long ago.
Yeah.
It was just last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know about that. We won't go there, though.
Yeah, yeah, I saw the picture, by the way, the other day. And I'm going to tell you something. When I watched you do that, I said it made me just as sick to watch you do that as it did 4 years later when I watched it on the thing. And I looked over there, I went, God, I still won't do that. That's amazing. 4 years later, I still won't. Yes.
I just want to say one thing, that every single person in this room could get to that place just by breathing. Literally.
Okay, so now we don't even need this baquette. Is your thing on? Yes. We don't need the baquette now, but that's what it looks like. It's baquette, but I'm going to tell you what's in it. It's an oval vessel, 4 feet in diameter and 1 foot deep. It's just one of them. He had several different kinds. Placed in the center of the salon. In it were wine bottles. Oh. There's the answer. Oh, that's what he meant by spirits. Oh, my God. Who knows? Filled with magnetized water with their necks outward. Water was then poured into the vessel until the bottles were covered. Fillings of iron were thrown in occasionally to heighten the magnetic effect. The vessel was then closed and pierced through with many holes. From each hole issued a long movable iron, and there's different ones. In the movie little clip, you'll see a different kind of iron than these, but you see how they're like that? And then everybody will hold that, which the patients applied to the different parts of their bodies that were afflicted. It was your throat, your iron, wherever. Music and singing were used to enhance the atmosphere. So, but I was thinking of that. If somebody walked into you and said, now just hold this, I mean, that for that time period, for somebody not to go, you got to be kidding. What the hell am I going to do with this thing I'm holding? But they all were like, but see, when you want to be healed. So do you hold on to that? Yeah. You'll see it in the picture of these women. I can't wait to show that. Well, they leave, it's like anything. You leave the iron in, the iron inside the water. Well, that's what he was thinking. Eventually, Mesmer built baskets large enough to treat 20 to 30 patients simultaneously. There were some patients who remained calm or received no effect at all. Others coughed, they spit, they felt pain and sweat. Others had convulsions. Patients came out of these convulsions cured. Mesmer began to, what I think it is too? I was saying the other day about crying and getting rid of stuff that's inside of you. Do you ever notice, if you have a good cry or that you're so tight and then all of a sudden you'll let go of it, and your body feels as though you've let go of all of the toxins that are in there, right? What happens with massage therapy too, right? Mesmer began to believe that he could transfer some of his personal, here's the other one, personal surplus of magnetic fluid into inanimate objects by touching them. So now he's claiming the power that he has, and now Ron's there, and if we weren't distancing, I could touch him. No, but we're like this, that he believes now that he can use his magnetic and put it inside of you. That's where he's at, yes? He would magnetize patients' clothes and beds so that they could receive the healing fluid every hour of the day. Show film clip. Yes. I don't think we can take one, can we?
Did he practice regular medicine in addition to this?
No, he did not. No. Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
a trained physician, but he left that to do this.
Before we roll tape.
Were only the people who convulsed healed? Only the people who convulsed healed?
Oh, no. But what I think the convulsion did was to let go of it. You know, because if you're sitting there with something like this, you know what it's like, and then you just go, I don't really, and you're just like letting it go, all of a sudden you go, wow.
And some people respond. Are you ready, Patrick?
Are they ready is what the, okay, are you zeroed in? This is the, no, we don't have time for the movie. This is a clip. Yes.
Can you do
Can you?
anything about my back?
Your back, Duchess.
It hurts, you see, especially at certain times, not.
At night.
Certain nights.
And when you're not alone in your bed.
Oh, you are the first doctor ever to understand.
Milady, your nerves are out of alignment. Pardon me, if your husband could just...
I was not talking about my husband, sir.
I'm sorry. The diagnosis remains the same, whatever the shape or size of the member.
That was my
You see before you the conductors of my power. Don't be frightened if you swoon away. Don't resist. Let it caress you, whisper to you, murmur to you as the force in me comes flowing into your flesh, your nerves, your bones. Take hold. Hold the rope. You may perhaps lose control of your senses.
meets the obstacle. Let it fight the pain. Your body is now a battlefield. Can the light win? Will it? Will it? Will it? The struggle, the fight, from my hands deep, as it contends with your enemies, untangles your nerves, stifles the obstacles.
So, lights on. So, could you bring out the baguette, please? I said, did everybody see Peggy in there? Ah! Now you thought this was just going to be an ordinary evening, didn't you? You guys all got to go home. I feel so relieved right now. Yeah. That might have been the sexual part that I was talking about earlier. I know. Everybody, I'm all sitting there going, I'm kind of embarrassed.
I'll have what they're having.
And then he didn't make it any better towards the end, when he was going all crazy.
He looked,
Okay.
what was he doing to himself? He looked like he was masturbating.
No.
I wonder how he felt about it.
No, but he looked like he was doing something to himself. But I guess he wasn't.
You have taken away all credibility of Mr. Anton Mesmer.
They give it a lot of points.
Yeah, they do. But
I don't think so, actually.
but I bet you
Because the
that
documentation does say they went into tremors like that and screamed and yelled and fell on the floor. I mean, that was the documentation, not just the film. So. Oh, I don't know about that.
well, that was in that particular, I mean, I think. I'm just watching everybody go, I don't know whether or not to laugh, scream, or jump in.
I think the power of suggestion is
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
The power of suggestion, and that he worked it. If you're in the middle of a frenzy and somebody comes and touches your shoulder, and you're already kind of in a state, as it were.
So Emma would have been on the board of medical board at that time, going, "It's the power of suggestion."
That's right.
He is not a healer; he's a fraud.
The reason that happened is because her husband hasn't touched her in years. Yeah, right. That makes a difference, doesn't it? Yeah.
Oh, it depends on what good. You saw his picture at the beginning. I don't know whatever people consider.
You can never tell in those pictures. I like it. Gina goes, it all depends on the healing. Now, if he looked like that.
Well, we all. Alan Rickman was.
Power of belief as well. And yeah, exactly. Right. And the thing of it is that it does show about suggestion. And now, here's your men.
Whoa,
There you go. I bet he wasn't as what's the word? You touchy feely or going. Yeah. Oh. Yes, we can. It's called Le Cage à Faux. Wow. Oh. Bring out the baguette. Oh, and I guess you've noticed the piano. Yeah, that's funny. Okay, so here's one of the testimonies. Receptivity. Oh, yeah, I was saying that it's the receptivity in the treatment that you're receiving too when you're having a spiritual mind treatment. We don't quite do. If anybody's had a treatment with me, we don't quite do. Now I'm passionate and I'm excited about what I do, but you guys don't have to worry. They go, so if you walk in and there's an iron thing, you just run. So when I arrived at Dr. Mesmer's establishment, my head was constantly shaking. My neck was bent forward. My eyes were protruding from their sockets and greatly inflamed. My tongue paralyzed. I could not speak without difficulty, and I had an involuntary laugh and more. Wow, that's quite a bit. Pain between the shoulders, staggering when walking. Animal magnetism made me feel the most extraordinary sensations from my head to foot. I am now free of all infirmities. See, so I put in, that was my little thing too. He also dealt in mental illness, which is all mental illness, is it not? We think of mental illness as they're mentally and they're deranged and no, it's mental illness. That's what he's working with. Now, proposition, I just want to see where we're at. Mesmer unites with royalty. Okay, there you go. Guess who that is? Marie Antoinette. You're a history little buff. Oh, there you go. Who's that? Who's the man? You don't care, do you? Louis the 13th, I believe. 14th. Yeah. Well, let me tell you. Let me tell you what happened. I guess she saw the movie because she told him that we need to back him all the way to whatever that Mesmer needs. We're going to back him, and they did. They backed him. Yes. What's this? Mm-hmm. Look at her. She looks very, very happy. She's like, "Don't worry, Louis. Mesmer is coming over. Grab the iron." Mesmer unites with royalty. He had allies with King Louis XIV. Mesmer appealed to Maria Antoinette for help from the government and a place to work so that he could continue his work and research, and they commissioned him. So he, once again, didn't have to worry about the wife who threw him out because he has money now to which it. So in conclusion, before we do a little bit of Ernest Holmes and Science of Mind, the commission included two of the most, and this was sad because it seemed like all through his life, he lived to 80. That's a long time in those days.
It was older, wasn't it 86?
No, I looked it up today. He was 81, yeah. And
Still, for those days, that was old.
That was very. He was hanging with some people on a Friday night. Hey, you have a baguette, and I'm going to tell you one thing, you'll live to 85. The commission included two of the most eminent scientists of the time, and indeed the history of science. I look at Benjamin Franklin and Antoine Lavoisier. Benjamin? I don't know. It's so funny. I was so stuck on Benjamin that I Googled. But after studying the evidence, the commission said there was no evidence, this is towards the end, to support, before he went into retirement, Mesmer's claim to have discovered a new magnetic fluid. Any benefits to patients from his treatments were simply imagination.
Benjamin Franklin thought it was.
Yeah, he was on that commission.
Yeah. It was
Who put the commission together? Who did that?
He didn't. I don't know.
He didn't. Yeah,
No.
yeah. Well, they put it to, all through his life, he kept wanting to prove himself. And every time he would do another, he did 27 propositions. I mean, all through his life. But I told Rita that I think that one of the biggest problems that he had was, there was a movie, and we cannot for the life of me think of it, but it was a movie where he had these great experiments and these scientists and great results, but he had to go prove it. And whoever this person is why I'm relating it to Anton. He didn't go back and back it. He couldn't tell you how it happened. hence science of mind and spirit. That's what Ernest Holmes has always said. I cannot tell you how, but I know that it does because it works. And we say get rid of the hows. He was more interested in healing, like you'll find out, in the future, especially when Rita brings in Phineas Quimby. He was so interested in healing, and he did a big job of it. He didn't have time to be going and writing it all this down. People were following him. That's how his book is like this thick. But it's not of him writing. It's just of people gathering this bit of information from him. He was so busy, and I think this is what Anton did too. He was so busy, I've got another idea, and I've got another idea, that he didn't go back, spend enough time to say, like they do now, peer-reviewed and everything else that you do. He said it was too late to deny animal magnetism at this point because hundreds of doctors were practicing it, suppressed it. So they suppressed it. They were still using different forms of this, but they had suppressed it as his. The Medical Society refused to publish their reports, only those who denied animal magnetism. So you got in if you didn't say you were with this team. And so a couple of last things. He retired in 1814.
But he had sanatoriums all over the
Right.
place.
Uh-huh.
And they actually, that's what you were saying, right? They actually were
Yeah, they
practicing.
actually were.
Yeah, even after his death, I think.
They followed him. Yeah. But they would not allow it in.
Medical journals.
Anton, a chemist. Oh, yes.
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 He discovered oxygen.
Antoine?
Oh, Anton. Oh, thank you, Jamie. He was a chemist.
He was beheaded? Did somebody say he was beheaded? Did you say he was beheaded?
Oh, he's got it right. Yeah. So, Jamie, while I'm looking at you, when I go to the next thing, can you write some of your feedback about what has gone on tonight, especially after that last clip? How do you feel right now? Is Charles on there? Charles. Charles. So his last years were happy and peaceful, which is good to know. He was seen on horseback and in his carriage, but rarely on foot. I'd throw that in. But he had an this is the best. I had to throw this in because, he had an attraction to animals, but that's not the part. This is turning out not the way I scholarly. No one's going to ever take me seriously as the minister. Okay.
I think you did this in ministerial school, too.
How
You
dare
did
you.
Anton Mesmer, and everybody was laughing, and you got in trouble. I'm remembering something.
But just remember something, Mr. James Mellon, Dr. James. We own this place. Yes, that's what I've. Yeah, you guys will not. You're gonna go. You won't. You're gonna go home tonight. You go. Oh, honey, you ain't gonna believe the kind of. How was it? Was it kind of boring, honey? Not exactly, honey. but there's a bad cat that I have that I like to. He had an attraction to animals. He had a pet canary. Jamie, I wish I was there. You wish you were here or there in the clip? Okay, he had an attraction. Okay, let me get this. He had a pet canary that lived in an open cage in his room. Every morning, the bird would fly out and perch upon Mesmer's head while he slept and waken him with a song. Nor would the concert until Mesmer, and would continue the concert until Mesmer arose and dressed himself. He could put the canary to sleep with one little stroke of his hand and awakening it by stroking the feathers on the reverse direction. Now, what's interesting, isn't that correct? But then he loved music, and he had an agreeable. I love their term. He had an agreeable tenor voice. Also means it wasn't bad. Also drawing, he also found time to attend to sick people in his neighborhood. Okay, so he died February 20th, 1815, but I just want to talk, where's that little, oh yeah. Mesmer passed away peacefully. The body was left untouched until morning, but the canary did not, as usual, fly out of his cage to perch upon his head. The bird neither sang nor did he eat any more. The canary died shortly afterwards. That was a buzzkill, wasn't it? That was a buzzkill. Look at me. Yeah, you guys were all like, iron, iron. I'm telling you, Debbie Downer, that is funny. Okay. Right. Yeah. That which we have learned in conclusion, or at least that which has been proved to us in a clear and dissatisfactory manner by the examination of the process of magnetism, is that man can act upon man at any time and almost at will by striking his imagination, that the simplest gestures and signs can have the most powerful effect, and that the action of man upon the imagination may be reduced to an art and conducted with a method upon subjects who have faith. Now, interesting about that, in reality, they weren't too far off, right? In that it was imagination. A lot of this, it shows how powerful our imagination is. And then we have a couple of beyond Mesmer. No, that's James Braid. He was a major figure in the history of hypnotism, so much that he is often regarded him as the father of hypnotism. Indeed, it could be argued that the hypnosis, as we know it today, didn't exist before Braid. He removed hypnosis from the occult shadows of mesmerism. Though his insights into the nature of trance, and by coining the word hypnosis itself. So in reality, he's not the father, he just named it hypnosis that we all took.
But Mesmer never was related to hypnosis. I mean, they didn't use that word until after.
But he did all of those things,
Well,
and
it
look in
was.
my eyes, and even had stuff he put in front of them to yeah, like, wow. Yes.
I wanted to share something that, as a result of that video that you just showed.
A man's perspective.
Yeah, oh, this is interesting because I didn't realize it, but I have experienced that. And one of the things about 25 or 30 years ago, I met Suzanne, and in that process of meeting her, was a minister on Oahu at the Unity Church. We would go probably about 3 or 4 times, as I recall, to this guy's house who lived up on a hill, and he had a tree house. And in his tree house, it was a huge tree house, there was a big central room in which we got together 4 times, maybe about 24 people. And we'd sit around the living room, eat, talk, and then we'd go to the tree house, and they would take their didgeridoos, and there was a couple guys that played the flute and wind instruments, and we would sit around and we would do pretty much what was going on there. There would be a healing, and you could, like, right now I feel the energy. You could feel the energy in this space with these people, and I'm trying to think that the last time we went, John Gray was there, and so John Gray literally came and sat in this group with us. John Gray, men are from Mars, women are, that kind of thing. And that's when I met John Gray. But what happened we would literally give each other massages or rub each other as this didgeridoo played, and you could literally almost feel the energy in the air. This went on for like 3 or 4 times over a period maybe of 6 months. Just bizarre, but it was a real healing process. Everybody felt really energized when we left.
That's great.
So it really does happen even now, or it did.
That's great. So Ernest, oh boy, practically the whole human race is hypnotized because it thinks what somebody else told it to think. I always love that one. Power, yep. So anyway, we won't go, I'll go through them briefly, but just to show you some of the stuff that we heard tonight, right? Suggestion, receiving the thoughts of another, suggesting and accept the ideas of others and believes in them. It may be conscious or unconscious. That's the most important thing. We have so much unconscious in us that it is incredible. Subjective, which we all know, beneath the threshold of consciousness, the law of our life. Melissa? The servant of the Spirit through the ages. He's actually, they talked about all of these in their own way, right? When you think about it. The universal soul being the creative principle of nature and the law of spirit, of the spirit. Telepathy, thought transference, telepathy. Do you think telepathy was involved in Anton? Yeah. Especially in that one scene we saw. Whatever he was doing, he was passing something. Because remember, he was saying that, take my energy, and he was very excitable. Atmosphere, that's what we're talking about. Mental, surrounds a person, place, and it can be felt. That's what Ron was just talking about. That's what happened in that scene. How important is atmosphere, to create an atmosphere?
It's very important. It's key. Okay, so take for instance what was going on the screen. The atmosphere in here was electric. So everybody was feeling it on different levels, almost on the similar levels. I mean, I know most of us were laughing, and most of us were intrigued, and most of us were excited. And I'll say that without hesitation. There was excitement happening in this room at that time. And anybody says it wasn't?
Jamie, I just want to let you know that Ron has announced there was excitement in this room, and that's why you wish you were here. Is that what it is? Yes. Okay, that's very funny. And very true. And the laughs, even I had them over there. They were, some of it was awkward laughing, kind of like, oh my God, we're all in this, it was weird. And then auto-suggestion, make a suggestion to oneself comes from our beliefs. Yes, you can.
I don't know if you're going to get into this, but we don't suggest.
Right.
I mean, you were saying before that, are we suggesting? But we don't suggest. That's why we don't talk to the person when we're doing treatment, because we don't get in a conversation with you when you were doing a spiritual mind treatment, because then we're going down to the level of being in the world of form. When we're in a conversation and suggesting and all of that, we're going to the condition or whatever. So when we're in treatment, all we're doing is dealing with the law and the one mind.
Right.
We're speaking into the one mind. And then the receptivity, what Patrick was talking about, happens because you're receptive to the field. And you don't even have to believe it. You don't have to believe. If you go to a practitioner, you don't have to believe it. All you have to do is be receptive. It's the belief of the practitioner. But it's very important that practitioners know they don't suggest, though.
Well, I think what I was trying to say. Go ahead.
No, I know what you were trying to say, because it is true. Are we suggesting by just saying, sitting in a room and going, and I know that Gina is perfect health and that her life is, unfolding perfectly in every moment she has. I mean, is that suggestive? But I'm not talking to Gina. I'm talking about her. Right. And I can see that you could be suggested by that, just as if you said something the opposite, horribly the opposite, right?
Right.
So, but it's not our intention to suggest.
Right, that's
it's not the
most
basis
important.
on which it's based on, is what I'm saying.
We're only here to stay.
No, I don't think, no.
Do you think that Mesmer intended to suggest? I don't think so.
No, I don't think he thought I think he thought he was really moving energy. And
Right, I think he was just verbally explaining what was happening. Like in that scene that he did, he said, now let the energy come through, let it go. And because he believed kind of like almost in exorcism in a way, that it was trapped inside of you and you needed to bring it out of you and free it once and for all from you. But I know that in our spiritual treatment, the spiritual counseling comes first so that we can put it all out there. And then when the actual treatment comes, we are actually moving energy, just like what he's talking about. We are moving energy in a definite direction for the highest out-picturing for the client, the person sitting there. And the reason it works, because see, if we have to go in and convince you,
Yeah, that's the other thing.
then if we have to go in and convince you, then we've already lost the energy. I've done it before. I've been in a convincing thing where I'm talking to someone and it's convincing, and I can literally feel the energetic flow in my body decreasing. But when I am in absolute truth, for anyone, and if they're there, if they're not there, I was thinking of you. I'm looking at Emma, when I treated about your sister that night after she had passed. And that energy was so there that I could actually be in the quantum field and could feel her sister not coming to me, but the oneness of it. I've got the God bumps now, is that I was going, wow, there's some surge of something coming through, and I wrote you. I said, yeah, I could feel your sister right now. She's not trapped by time and space anymore. She's absolutely free to be in every molecule of life itself. It was quite nice. Yeah, so thank you, Rita. We do not suggest that you do anything.
Well, but if you say that Ernest Holmes was influenced by Mesmer, how was he influenced by Mesmer, and how is it used in today's spiritual treatment?
Right.
Well, well, first of all, he studied everything, right? And these guys, Ernest Holmes, Troward, all these people of that time, they got together and they studied the mind. They studied everything they knew about the mind. And was it suggestible? Was it this? Was it that? Was telepathy true? Was clairvoyance true? They were working with people, like experimenting with people. We don't really know that about them, but if you read their autobiography, we don't really teach that because it's too, we don't have a class that's big enough to teach all of it. But they were constantly like studying what was the power of the mind and what could it do and blah, 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 blah. So so he learned that the mind was suggested to, that the mind could be suggested to. And that could be a good thing or a really bad thing too. I mean, and because we're all living in the race consciousness, right? That we are suggested to by the race consciousness. That's why he's saying that we walk around hypnotized by stuff that isn't even true half the time because we're taking it in. And so our subconscious is very suggestible.
I think you defined it the best. I mean, when we first started tonight, you were talking about spiritual mind treatment and how he devised a formula for us to use to break down it so that we could have steps, which really aren't the steps aren't the power. We're the power, but it gives us a direction, a roadmap that we get to use as we're navigating through the ethers and the quantum field. We're able to do that because we can go. Oh, I was saying tonight I was talking about Anton. If he was doing a spiritual mind treatment, he would just do it in that same way of, there's this power, this thing that is happening right here and right now. I mean, it wouldn't be contradictory to even what he was doing, because he would be taking the power and surging, that he loves the word, surging and remembering who we are in that one power. And then when he gets that excitable energy that God is, that we don't even have to merge. Because the reason we merge the two in steps in 1 and 2 is for absolute remembrance. In reality, you're not doing this. You're doing this.
Did Mesmer attach this to religion?
No, I don't think so.
No.
He did, and the question was, did he attach it to spirituality? Because she didn't have a mic. No. And I wanted to say one more
Sure.
thing. I think that why the suggestion thing was so important to Ernest Holmes was because he made the conclusion that's why we were all in trouble, was because we picked up all this stuff. We come to Earth with it. We're born into it. We get it from our parents. And so they were studying the subconscious and how suggestible the subconscious is. And so if they could get people to go back to their true essence, to first cause, and to start to come from that place, they could change the subconscious. They could change their beliefs. But I think that's why it was important to them to know the suggestion thing, and probably why they studied the subconscious mind, and so I don't know.
And also
not so that we could suggest as practitioners,
but in Science of Mind, what we want, and as Rita says, tools are great, but if they end up crutches, they don't serve us. And so what I love about this and about him and about Ernest Holmes is that he wanted to make sure that we didn't have to go back to get the iron. Like if you were healed, you had the power within you wherever you were, whatever place you were. But here the people had to go back to him. The blind girl had to keep going back, and it didn't last, right? Because the blindness served her to some good, and she felt abandoned again, and a whole bunch of stuff. But Ernest Holmes is saying, what if we can do what he does? What if we take this power so that we can depend on it no matter what shows up for us? That's why it's so powerful, and that's also why it's so hard to grasp. The evolution, right.
It seems as though he used mesmer in the belief that moving energy is definitely believable, that he believed in that.
Right.
But everything else, I think he came to his own conclusion from his other readings and everything else, and how he arrived to the spiritual mind treatment is different. So he knew to say, no, this is not what I want.
Exactly.
But this is what happens.
Because
or
think
it helps me understand it, right?
And I think that Ernest, that's why when we divide up the steps, that's so that we can understand. That's so that we can say, because in reality, I said someday I'll write the book, it's called One Step. Because once you have the one step, and that is knowing who and what you are, then everything will be a walking demonstration and an immediate manifestation. Because you won't have to separate yourself to do it. Like, you won't have to get rid of all the collective consciousness that's going on out there, which is, by the way, some of these race consciousness, the consciousness of a particular group of people. We're going through a big, huge, I'm going to say huge one more time, huge with race consciousness, collective consciousness with this COVID-19 that's going on. There is so much energy out there that sometimes I don't even know what the hell if I'm thinking it or somebody else is thinking it. And you have to stay, this is where we have to stay so focused, and when we go off, it's great, just get back on, because the longer we stay off now, the more that drowns us. I'm speaking for myself. Consciousness, both objective and subjective, we know that. Objective has will and choice, and subjective is entirely reaction, does not discriminate. That's our law. That's ours, everything in the subjective mind. Ether, a universal medium which is supposed to be the last known analysis of matter, intersphering all things in all space.
That's the fluid.
Fluid, there's the fluid. Ether, formless substance that Ernest talks, Science of Mind. The ultimate stuff from which all forms are created, universally present in an unformed state and acted upon by conscious and subconscious intelligence.
That's the field.
What that means, that's the field. So that means whether or not you are thinking consciously about it and activating it consciously or unconsciously, it is still moving. Yeah. Healing, page 597. I was going to read it to you, but we're
Want me to go get it?
No, it's okay. Hypnotism, the mental control. You can if you want read it. I don't have
a book with me.
I do somewhere in the office. The mental control. It's under healing.
Oh,
in the
there is a
glossary.
book in the office, a Science Mind text in the office.
Insanity. Oh, hello. A temporary. I love this. A temporary or permanent control of the conscious mind by the subconscious mind. Treatment. There is only one mind. You cannot have insanity unless you are in duality.
He's got, there's a section, There's a section in the text about treating for insanity. I don't know if you're familiar with the part of the text that has all physical
I gotta
perfect.
write that down, though. Write that down. I liked what I just said.
There's a section that he goes through. It's almost like Louise Hay. He goes through each of all these little different things and says what to treat for, and one of them is insanity, and that is what he says, 596. Go
I
ahead.
know, it's an interesting thing. My father, who was insane, as you've all known throughout our classes, he was insane because he lived so much in duality and fought much of the collective consciousness that had many different voices. So
I don't know why you put 596. There's nothing.
490,
Oh, what was it? Oh, 597.
yeah.
Oh, healing. Do you want me
Yeah,
to read it?
yeah, go ahead.
Mental healing means mind healing. To heal means to make whole. We seek to heal men's mentalities, knowing that to the degree in which we are successful, we shall also be healing their bodies. Belief in duality has made man sick, and the understanding of unity will heal him. God stands to us for the one life in which we all live. Mental treatment is a direct statement in mind of what we wish to have done and a realization that it is done. Healing is the result of clear thinking and logical reasoning, which presents itself to consciousness and is acted upon by it. Realize that you are a divine idea and that your word is the law unto the thing which it is spoken. The whole idea of healing, when understood, is the substitution of truth for sense testimony. Is the substitution of truth for sense testimony. This restores man to a condition of wholeness.
Right. The interesting thing, too, is we're back to duality again. And the only time that we can ever feel anything is, and every mystic has said it, everyone now is saying it, we're all mystics is the only way we can ever have anything that's not aligned with us is when we feel separate from God. As you were talking about, that feeling of you know it's there. You know that it's there because it is the very essence of who you are. When we find out, and this is what I know for this lifetime, we will find this out without having to die to find it out. Because I believe a lot of times death allows us, excuse me, that freedom, to be everything, right? But I think that our evolution here is to find that out while we are right here in this body as we are right today. Ernest Holmes studied the power. He says, what does this have to do with religious science? Well, Ernest Holmes studied the power of the subconscious mind and its openness to suggestion. It gave him an initiative to find a way for the individual to control his own subconscious or subjective, for as he states, the conscious mind is spirit, the subject mind is law. And so that's why we say that our faithful servant, the law, is so wonderful to have, because it will only say yes to us. The creative part that moves it, you say, this is what I desire, I need, I require right here, and all it says is yes. Yes.
No, I was just saying Bruce Lipton has that whole talk where he talks about 95% of us is subconscious. It's 95. That's a lot.
7%, yeah.
So, right. So we should be really working with our subconscious. We should really be training our subconscious, and we have the power. We think we don't, for the most part. Not us in this room, but we think we don't. Yeah. Go ahead.
The way science uses subconscious is the universal spirit, isn't it?
The universal spirit is not the subconscious.
That's subjective, subconscious. Subjective is everything that has ever been and ever is in that subconscious subjective.
It's all one thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's all one thing. There is no duality, conscious and subconscious.
No, it's just modal. It's just
no duality.
No.
But I don't think I put this on this, but I put it here. We are our own authority. That is what Ernest Holmes, we are our own authority. And what I have learned about that as of late is that sometimes I think, I could be wrong, that the mass amount of people, they like to be told what to do. because if you tell me what to do, then I don't have to make a decision. And I'm not responsible. And it takes, and trust me, this week we've been experiencing that quite a bit, that you have to make a decision. And did you guys know that sometimes when you make a decision, that everyone else, they don't always agree with you? Oh my God, it was like, I went, oh my God, get out of this philosophy. But we are our own authority. And everybody thinks that's real, yeah, right? But it's not. We're not trained to be our own authority. But we are, I believe, the one nice thing about that 95% is that the truth of the matter is that we are 100% God. We are 100% that energy, and we get to direct it any place that we want to. So yeah, 95%, I know that's what the untrained mind is doing, but the reality, whenever we start going, shit, I only got 5% going on, then what we say, yeah, that might be true, but the truth of the matter is that we are 100%, because the moment we put ourselves into a percentage, we have now duality. I have now said 5% of me is this. And it's a great tool to work through, but I'm changing it now, going, I have 100%. I am 100%. And now act accordingly. And you watch the little barometer of the percentage go up. Oh, this perfect timing tonight.
Can I just, because I want to answer.
You can do anything you want.
No, Emma, the conscious mind, okay, the universal spirit is the conscious mind of God. It's our conscious part is considered universal spirit, the part that has the volition, the part that has the choice. The universe of conscious mind and our self-determination. The universal subjectivity means the creative meaning of the spirit. The creative medium is the law or the subjective state. But it's all one thing. It's just the way it works. We think it goes into a field, and everything's in that field, the subconscious. Right?
So, Jamie, do you have any parting words for any of us before we start to close?
I'll let you see it.
And if you do, our wonderful secretary over there will be writing it down. Thank you, Rob, for... No, she's on live.
When you're done, I wanted to just say something about homework.
Of course, about this?
About homework itself.
Yeah. It's just about any closing things anybody said. Did you enjoy yourself tonight? Was it beneficial for you? Yeah.
She felt surges.
So just so you know, Jamie, she said, I laughed, I cried, it became a part of me.
And she
Another T-shirt. We got T-shirts going galore. As a matter of fact, if something happens and they close our butts down, we'll start a T-shirt shop. God knows Mike Dooley did, and he's doing all right.
I always wanted to do a play like of all these people like all in a room together, like Emma Curtis Hopkins, Anton Mesmer, Mary Becker, all of them like are arguing about how they heal and what they think about it, and I don't think anybody come to see it though.
Halloween, we're picking things. So picking it up. So
I just want to say something about homework.
Yes,
if you're ready for me to do it.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so this is what I want to say. It's come to my attention that people don't like homework sometimes, or they don't think they have time for it. This is a class that you end up with a degree at the end. I mean, you end up with a license to become a practitioner as you go through this. So yes, there is homework. And Patrick and I are really light on homework, but if you're in a normal class, if you go to a 3-hour class, which this is, we're doing it in 2.5 hours, you can depend on going home and doing 3 times that in homework. That's the way it's scheduled in colleges. We don't do that to you guys.
Don't schedule that.
All right, but I can tell you that more than likely, I don't know how long it took you to write the thought paper. In fact, I only have 3 of them. But yeah, I'll take them. Okay, just make sure I get it. The thing is that it's up to you. I mean, the Emerson essays, you're going to read the Emerson essays and bring your questions and be ready to discuss with Roseanne Jones.
Roseanne's coming in next week.
She's teaching Emerson next week.
Emerson, because she's in love with him.
Right. She doesn't think Rob looks like him either. I do. Anyway, but so yes, there'll be like you know, I don't know how, I would say a minimum of 2 hours of homework a week. I would say a minimum, depending on what it is, but maybe it doesn't take you that long. I don't know. All right, maybe more, a minimum. What? Yeah, well, that was an
read it
easy
10
book to read. I mean, come on. Yeah, but there is homework. And when you go into practitioner study, your homework, it does increase. I mean, it's homework, you know? So if you have a really busy life and you can't do it, but I mean, we worked full-time jobs. He went to ministerial school and worked and went to college at the
psych
same
degree.
time. So
I
I
thought I
mean,
was
it just
insane,
it
by
depends
the
on
way.
your life, and you know what you can do and what you can't do or what you want to do. But I'm not going to say there's not homework. There is. All right, and that's the story about homework. So it is, right? And if you're taking this class for credit, if you're just auditing it, you know, and you don't want credit, then, you know, not you though, because in fact, because you're taking it over again because I know. But what I'm saying about that is, yeah. So if you just want to audit and sit here and not have to do the homework, then you won't get credit for it. Does that make sense?
We just want to be clear.
I just want to be clear.
And questions. Here's the other thing. Let's get clear for a second on a thought paper. It's really actually simpler than we all think. It's not a paper. It's not a paper, because I remember doing papers. A thought paper is just reading the material and giving us your thoughts on that thing, whatever the assignment was. That's it.
No wrong or right answer.
It's not
asking you to have a thesis or, you know, what's it called? The first statement you make when you
a hypothesis.
You wouldn't. I can't remember what it's called. No, when you write a thesis paper.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, thesis. Yeah. You make a statement.
You know, I just remember when I did the psych degree that they had thought papers, and I turned my thought papers into manuscripts because I was so overly eager because I went back to finish it up at 50, and I was like, you watch what kind of student I can be, and I'm thinking, I got these things. A thought paper isn't a manuscript, and I'm not reading all those pages of your thought paper. A thought paper is just, a couple pages or whatever it is.
The other thing is, we took this class, and if you looked at the workbook for this class, we're not even giving it to you. Because we taught this class 2 times, and it was ridiculous. They
Right.
gave you so much to read that you would never possibly be able to comprehend all the stuff they gave you to read.
Exactly.
And the curriculum was written in 2007.
Because Roseanne called
So-
today and was asking, she goes, now when they do the 20 questions and they do that, and we go, what are you
Yeah,
reading
you would
that-
have gone
what are
home
you
with
reading
20
that
questions
from?"
every night
And she
plus-
goes, oh, they're not doing what you made us do? Is that what you're, and I was going, no, actually we're not. And so she's coming, but she is a Emerson fanatic. So that's why we wanted to make sure that someone like that had that kind of passion. And
Well, also because she studied it and she knows it.
but I will let you say
Why
that
reinvent
you
the
are
wheel?
you are the first people in the world to ever get a skit at the beginning of your class. It's never been done since Rita and I have been together, and so it may never be done again. But so we appreciate it. Anything? Oh, did she have any last? Did Jamie have anything? Did she leave? See, that's the point of when you're at home.
I don't know what happened to Charles. He's going to be in trouble. Charles thinks
Oh, that's a good question. He said, where are those essays?
you can find them online. You just put in Emerson essays, it'll come up.
Well, ask your fellow classmates. Ask your... yeah, Emma, will you send her the link? Yeah. Thank you. Because we sent
Why
it.
I told you this 2
we
weeks
sent
ago.
it to you when you started the class. We sent that.
You don't have to, you're not going to get a test when you come. You just
not
have to be
getting a
able to.
test.
I'm sure you're going to have questions. Give them to Roseanne. Come with what you think. The thing about Emerson. The
Thanks for
reason-
that, Sue. We're supposed to read that
All right,
stuff?
can I sit? The reason Emerson could be difficult to read, as Thomas Troward will be also, is because they speak in another language. Because they speak, you have to consider that they're speaking in their time period. It's kind of like reading Shakespeare, but what they have to say is really valuable. So,
But if you won't feel duality and you just go to your infinite intelligence, I bet you'll have a different experience with
But
it. So does everybody know where to find? Oh yeah, the Cliff Notes are great. Does everybody know where to find these? If not, go to Emma.
I didn't want to make you have to buy the book, but she's.
But
got
the reason
book.
that we did
maybe you can get her to copy it for you.
The reason we did it is because when we were talking about when we need what books were needed, that's when we sent that you don't have to buy the Emerson, that the essays on there, but this would.
I printed everything last week. I've been.
Right. It's okay. It's okay. Bring in the baguette.
Let me see if I have it.
Bring in the baguette, please. So, Rita, are you leaving? Because I'm praying us out. Where'd she go? What'd you say? This is what we do. Yeah. This is. No, we're on. And we're like, Rita. Did she get all upset about something? She's like, Rita, who are you talking to? Oh. Why? You look like you just had a session with Mesmer. Wow. All I got to say is that I left a smile on everybody's face.
We were
tonight.
discussing Ralph Waldo.
Well, Mesmer wants to have his closing thing. So let's just take a moment to just bathe in the fluid, as Mesmer would say. And so what I know at this moment is that tonight, this moment has been absolutely spectacular. And that Spirit has made its way through and as each and every one of us. And I know that this journey has led us to this divine moment called now. And we take all of the feelings, all of the remembering, all of the fun, all of the information, and we just let it just percolate and marinate in our beings as we go out into the world. And so what I know as we go from this moment to the next moment to the next moment, that we remember who and what we are, and that is God, that is that divine energy, that is that quantum field, that is that power of love that moves through and as each of us. So I take time right in this moment to just give gratitude to this Anton Mesmer for everything that he has given to us in this new thought movement into the spirits in rebellion. And so I just say yes, yes to it all, knowing that there is no duality. There is only one thing happening, and that is Spirit. And I see it, I feel it, I accept it, I receive it, I give it, and I am it. So what I know is that this energy, this power has moved through each and every one of us for a direct, definite purpose, and that is for the highest good of our lives. And with that, I am truly grateful. And I release my word knowing that it dare not come back to me void, for it is whole, it is complete, and it is done. And with that, I let it be, I let it go, as together we affirm as one. And so it is. That backhand got you guys all giggly over there, didn't it, Sue Wood? She's going every cocktails.